Hello Southeastern MBA students, this is Dr. Stuckey. In this tutorial I am going to show you how to use the Precision Tree software to build a decision tree. So the first question I want to answer is why use a decision tree instead of just calculating the EMV like I've shown you how to do in past videos? Well, the EMV can get pretty complex the more factors you put in, especially as you have multiple areas of chance that some of these more complex decision trees have. It also allows users to see it in a very easy way. In this graphical format, you can easily compare the outcomes of the different options, the different choices, and then look and see what happens with those choices in if different scenarios play out. In other words, when you're making a decision, you don't always have control over everything. And so it just graphically lays it out in a way that is easy for people to see to use a decision tree. Okay, so we are going to do this SciTools bidding decision too. And here's what the model is showing us so far. First of all, if SciTools bids, it's going to cost them $5,000 to prepare the bid. Okay, so if they don't get the bid, then if they bid and they didn't win, they would be out $5,000. If they get the bid, it's going to cost them $95,000 in order to supply the instruments. There is a 30% chance that nobody is going to bid against them. However, if another company does bid against them, there is a 10% chance that their bid would be greater than $125,000. There is a 30% chance that their bid would be $120,000 to $125,000, a 40% chance that the bid would be $115,000 to $120,000, and a 20% chance that the bid would be less than $115,000. So let's go ahead and start building the decision tree. I'm going to click on cell about A17 with this model. It doesn't matter exactly where you put it. And I'm going to go to my Precision Tree tab. If you don't have this in yet, you need to download the Precision Tree software and install it. And then you go to the icon for Precision Tree on your desktop and click on it, and it will launch the Precision Tree software. Okay. So now I'm going to click on Decision Tree. And yes, it can go in cell A17. Push OK. And we are going to name the sheet SciTools bidding. Okay. All right. Now, the first thing we are going to put in is a decision node. So to put in a decision node, you click on this little triangle and you select decision. And branch 1 will be, or the decision is bid. So branch 1 will be yes. Branch 2 will be no. Then you can press OK. Okay. The next thing that we want to do is go ahead and put in the cost of bidding because we put in the cost when it occurs. So if we bid, which is actually up here, I did it reverse from what you have in your book, you're going to put equals, negative, and select cell B4. Okay? All right. So at this point, with no other information, the decision tree is telling you would not bid. However, that's only because we have not put in all of the other information yet. So let's go ahead and let's look at what happens if we bid. Now, if we bid, we have another choice, and that is we can bid $115,000, $120,000, or $125,000. So go ahead and we'll click this node and select decision. We are going to select this plus sign to add a branch, and then we will name the decision how much to bid. And we'll call branch 1 $115K, branch 2 is $120K, and branch 3 is $125K. And push OK. All right. And so now we have this. Okay. Now, the next thing that we are going to put in is a chance, and that is there a competing bid? If there's no competing bid, then we automatically win the decision. So we're going to put that in next. So go ahead again and click on this end node. All right, and this time it is a chance because we can't determine for sure, and we don't have control over whether or not other competitors bid. So the chance in this case is any competing bid. And branch 1 can be no. Branch 2 can be yes. And notice I'm not adjusting any probabilities yet. Okay. Now, if there is a competing bid, now we have to determine the probability that we will win the bid. So that's another chance, and we will put win bid, and yes and no. All right, and so now what we can do is copy this branch, copy subtree, and we can go over here and we can paste this subtree to these other 3 nodes because it's the same basic subtree for each one. Now we're going to go back through and adjust probabilities because our probabilities of winning the bid are going to be different. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put in the probabilities and the results. So there is a 30% chance that there is no competing bid. So let's go ahead and select that cell that has that information in it. Okay, and down here, it's just the inverse. If there's a 30% chance that there is no one bidding against you, then you just take the inverse of that, which is going to be, oh, it's the wrong cell, 1 minus B7 or 1 minus 30%. There's going to be a 70% chance that another company is going to bid against our company. Okay. And if we bid 15K and we win the bid, we then take that 115 and we subtract the cost to supply the instruments for a total of $20,000 there. Okay. Now, if we don't win, or I'm sorry, if somebody does bid against us, now we have to calculate the probability that we will win the bid. And so if we bid 115,000, there is going to be an 80% chance that we will win the bid because we basically take the sum of these probabilities right here that as far as what the other competitors are going to bid. And of course, if they bid more than us, then we will win. So since our bid number is 115, we are able to sum the rest of these for that probability. Okay. So there's an 80% chance that we will win the bid. This one is just the inverse of that, so 1 minus, and you can just select that cell actually, 20%. And again, if you win the bid, it is the same amount. You would still make $20,000. Okay? So the EMV of this decision of bidding 115K is 12,200. So now we have to do that with the rest of them. Now this one is similar. It's going to be equals B7, and this is going to equal 1 minus B7. Oops, equal 1 minus B7. There we go. Okay, and this one is a $120,000 bid, and we're going to subtract the cost to supply the instruments from that to see how much we actually make, and we would make 25,000 there. Now, if someone does bid against us, we again have to calculate the probability of that. Well, this time we're bidding 120K, so the probability that someone would bid above us would be the sum of these two numbers right here. So there would be a 40% chance in that we would win the bid if someone bid against us. So we'll do sum, and we'll do the sum of these two numbers. Okay. And then this one is the inverse of this one. Okay. And this number is the same. If we win the bid, we would make $25,000. Okay. So the last one, similar concept. So there is the same 30% chance that nobody's going to bid against us. So that's going to be equal B7. And this is the inverse, so 1 minus B7. Okay. And if we bid 125K, there's only a 10% chance that the other companies would bid more than us. So that means we only have a 10% chance of winning the bid. So it equals 10% chance, which is B12. Okay. Equals 1 minus, and just select that one. All right, and what I didn't put in was how much we would make. So it would be equals 125,000 minus the 95,000. Okay, and so we would make 30,000 if we bid 125K and won. Okay, so and that would be whether there was no competing bid or whether there was a competing bid and we won it. Now let's talk briefly about how to interpret this. So the branch with the highest EMV has true, and the branches that have true are the decisions that would be recommended by the decision tree. So in this case, the decision tree recommends that we do bid and that we bid 115K, that bid has an expected EMV of $12,200. That is higher than the EMV of the 120K bid, and it's higher than the EMV of the 125K bid, which is 6,100. Now again, I want to point out that in none of these cases would you make exactly the EMV. If you bid 115K and you got the bid, the company would make $20,000. The reason the EMV is higher is because there's a much better chance that the company would get the bid by bidding 115K than if they bid 120 or 125. But if they bid 120 or 125 and got the bid, they would make more. So if they bid 120, they would actually and got the project, they would actually make 25,000. If they bid 125K and got the project, they would make 30,000. They are just far less likely to get the projects over here, which is why this 115K has the highest EMV. All right, I hope that this has been useful to you. Again, if you have any questions, please make sure that you are emailing me or calling me, and I am happy to help you. Hope you have a great day, and God bless.